All right, welcome everybody. We're thrilled to be here. This is another excellent webinar from the staff at Equipment Zone who was able to pull this off. We apologize if there was any confusion. There were some titles that got swapped out in the emails that were previously sent, and we caught that unfortunately too late. This is not a repeat of the graphics session that we've already done. You are welcome to watch that recorded session. It's on our YouTube channel. We'd love for you to check it out. It was indeed the first step of the EZ Printing Index, and the graphics is kind of the foundation. This is the next level, moving up one on the index to substrates. So obviously there's a great relationship between those two, Terry, but unfortunately in our email, we did have last webinar's title in today's email that went out. So stuff happens.
Jay, it's worth watching again, though. It was really, really good.
It is worth watching again. And actually, it's been one of our more popular videos. It's really gaining some momentum. So if you haven't watched it, or if you need to watch it again, all about graphics. Yeah,
and Jeff Morgenthaler really knows the stuff about graphics, and that's a huge question that people ask us at trade shows and things like that. So if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it, but not right now.
Exactly, but not right now. You're also going to see Roy is with us today, and Roy's been able to work in our showroom, and we have two cameras set up, one that's printing live right now. You can see that it's printing. That's pretty cool, right, Terry?
Very cool, very cool.
I'm still jazzed about that. I still think it's the coolest thing ever.
About our assorted camera angles, and yeah.
we are grateful for Harry Oster, our owner, the owner of Equipment Zone, who is continually pushing us to invest in ourselves and invest in the equipment and make sure that we can do the best job we can with training.
And Roy, being smarter than the equipment, knows how to how to even open that lid and while it's still running.
Yeah, good job.
No problem. We got that.
That's awesome.
Little modification.
Perfect. Roy, your volume is awesome. We've got new mics, by the way, and it's a little high. You sound great. You sound really clear. But I'm just letting you know, if you can adjust it, great. If not, that's okay. You sound great, and that's the most important thing.
I just lowered it a little bit. Is that better?
Yeah, that's a little better. Wouldn't you agree, Terry?
I do. I'm usually the one accused of talking too loudly, so I'm glad to pass that mantle on to someone else.
I get that a lot too. I don't know what's going on.
Crazy.
It is crazy, us talkers. Well, we welcome everybody. We have folks from all over the United States, Canada. We even have our friend Gosta from Sweden, and we're thrilled that awesome. We could share this information. We really do think this is important. You're going to get a little bit tired of seeing that same Spartans logo, that same graphic, but we did use that consistently so that we could show that all of our variables stayed the same. And Terry, why don't you kick us off? I'm going to share the graphic that we used about a month ago to really get things going. If you'll remember back in the Wayback Machine during the DTG Training Academy, we unveiled, we announced our EZ DTG Printing Index. And so I want to share that right now so people can get a little sneak peek about what we've talked about and then what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to share my screen for just a second so that everyone can see that. And if you'll remember, we were talking about these things last time, right? The graphics.
Exactly. And since we're going back in the Wayback Machine, Mr. Peabody, we we came up with 5 categories to get the most perfect print. And the gist of it was this. We always have people say to us, why don't my shirts look like the trade show shirts? And we're not doing any special magic at a trade show, but we do maximize all 5 of these categories to get the best possible print. So last week we talked about graphics, and bottom line, a 300 DPI file saved at full size is going to be your best shot at getting a perfect graphic on the shirt. And this week, we're going to talk about the garment of the substrate and how that's going to impact your final print. And Jay, unlike any other decoration method, and you and I are longtime screen printers, and you can make it work with almost any decoration method on most any garment. If I'm a screen printer, maybe I'm going to change my screen mesh. Maybe I'm going to change my angle. Maybe I'm going to double stroke it. Maybe I'm going to push instead of pull. There are things we can do to make any type of garment work. In direct to garment printing, the substrate, the garment, is critical to getting a good quality print more than any other decoration method. So are we ready to start through the list of on our index? And of course, on our index, Jay,
Yeah.
it's
Keep going.
50.
You're on a good roll here. I think that's the no, you set it up perfectly, Terry. And thinking about obviously these two issues are interconnected, the graphics and then the substrate. But I love what you said about the substrates in DTG. I would say that it's even more particular that we keep our eye on those substrates than, like you said, other decorating techniques. Because, you know, screen printing's forgiving. Heat applied vinyl can be forgiving. But
embroidery, you can embroider in almost anything by changing the backing, you know, so.
Exactly. And so with this, I have to let you know, because I sit next to Roy and we're in offices next to each other, and he goes over this in every single training we have. And it's not something that's required. It's something that he knows it's going to help a business owner and an operator to have their eye on these substrates. So this has come from frequently asked questions, tech support questions, every trade show we go, every webinar we do. It seems like somebody's talking about, my shirts don't look like that. How did you guys get them so bright?
Yeah, what's different about your Epson F2100 or whatever direct-to-garment printer you're using? There's nothing different. It's all in these 5 steps, these 5 points, and we assign a point value to each thing. And for instance, in graphics, you only get 2 points out of 10 for using a 72 DPI file. In substrates, you're only going to get 2 points out of 10 for printing on polyester.
Okay. Whoa, Terry. Now hold on a second. You mean I can't print on poly?
That's, you know, it's the most talked about thing in direct-to-garment printing in probably 5 years. And at trade shows, Jay, you remember trade shows?
Yes, I do.
Speaking of the Wayback Machine.
Speaking of that, is that where Jeff is today? Is he at a trade show? Because I kind of miss him. But then again, look at Roy back there. Roy, why don't you say hi and just talk to us for a second so we can see what you're doing? Because he looks like he's getting ready for some fun experiment. I'm not sure. Roy, are you still with us? He's on mute.
Yeah, I had my mic muted. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
So basically, I'm just doing a hoodie real quick.
Okay.
Just to kind of show the difference in having a high quality hoodie, actually, is what we got here. And how much pre-treat you need to have versus ink to get a nice even lay down of ink.
Gotcha. So while we're talking, Terry, sorry, I snuck that up on you. Roy's going to be busy in the background, and from time to time, I'll check in on him so that the camera goes back. Roy, move over just a little so we can see you. You got to center yourself into look at that. There's the man, the myth, the legend, the great one, Roy. Okay, back to you, Terry. 100% polyester, but come on, man. Everyone says I can print on 100% poly.
Well, you know, at trade shows, people would say, well, those folks over there say you can only print polyester on their machine. And these folks over here say, no, you can't print polyester. Both things are true. And here's, well, it's not true that they're the only ones. Because here's a little secret about DTG printing. I'm going to whisper. Only
a couple hundred people are going to hear this, Terry.
Okay, I won't whisper, and then I'll just say it right out loud. But what you can do on one DTG printer, you can do on all DTG printers. What you can't do on one, you can't do on any. So can you print polyester? You absolutely can. Why do these folks over here say you can't? They don't mean that you can't. They're saying it's probably not a good idea. And here's why I say that. To print polyester, you know, when we cure our shirts, we cure at 338 degrees. And I don't know what that is Celsius, Gusta, but
he'll tell us in a minute, I'm sure.
Yeah, but and it's just like in screen printing. When you screen print on polyester, you have what's called dye migration. Same with DTG printing. Dye migration means that the dye in the polyester, the dye that's coating the polyester, will escape into the ink, and that white print on your red polyester garment is going to turn pink under heat. Screen printing figured out how to make a low cure additive to put in ink. So they went from 320 degrees down to 275. And that's how they can print on a polyester garment. For us, we still need to get that garment cured. And yes, we followed that that formula and went to 275. But let me tell you how we print polyester. And also the companies that say only we can print polyester, this is how they do it too. That's why at a trade show, when you go up and say, can I see you print a polyester shirt? They'll say, we don't have any. Then when you say, but I've got a polyester shirt, oh, it doesn't work that well on that polyester shirt. They won't do it in front of you. And here's why. You pre-treat the shirt, you dry it, you pre-treat the shirt, you dry it. 2 steps, right? Now I'm going to print it just like a regular dark shirt. And then I need to cure it. I can't cure it at 338 degrees. That dye is going to just go right into the ink. So what do? I cure it at 275 degrees on my heat press for 45 seconds.
Wow.
That's not enough to cure that ink.
You're not
I'm
done
going to do it again, 275 degrees, 45 seconds. Not enough. 275 degrees, 45 seconds. So I pre-treat, dried, printed, cured. At that point, I can have an acceptable print. Now, acceptable meaning it's not going to look like 100% cotton shirt, but probably acceptable to our customer. But can we make a living doing that? That's why these guys over here are saying you can't do it. What they're telling you is you shouldn't do it.
We're suggesting that you shouldn't do it. Now listen, Terry,
based on that cure, you don't get washability either.
Oh, yeah, exactly right. And that's the next thing I was going to bring up. The washability is still going to be an issue. Now, Epson makes their own pre-treat for polyester. To apply it, you need to make sure that your pre-treat machine has a little extra juice. It's a little heavier. Again, we didn't get satisfactory washability with it. So we do not recommend printing on polyester. Can you do it? Yes. Is it a profitable thing to do? Probably not. You're probably not going to be happy with the results. And let me add to this, Jay. The situation is, we have people come up to us and say, hey, I'm getting into the business. I want a machine that prints on everything. That machine doesn't exist.
Well, come on. I want a magic wand too, Terry. But...
Exactly. I used to tell people, here's the magic button on the machine that makes it so you can do that. No, there is no magic button. And let's look at it this way. If there are different ways to decorate. For instance, if I want to print on a phone case, I could make that work on a DTG printer. I could paint on some pre-treat with a paintbrush. I could dry it, let it air dry. I could print it with the absolute least amount of ink that I could lay down CMYK. I could take a hair dryer on low and try to dry that ink. And then I could go to Ace Hardware or Lowe's and spray on some acrylic protective spray. And by gosh, I got a phone case. It cost me, it took 25 minutes to do, and I'm going to sell it for $9.95. But or I could buy a sublimation printer and do phone cases all day long, because that's what it's for. Phone cases and coffee mugs. Use these machines for what they're made to do. They're honestly made. The ink systems are made for 100% cotton or high cotton content blends. Yeah, you can make it do other things, but you're not going to make the money. There are plenty of customers for 100% cotton or high cotton content blends that you don't have to try to make the machine do what it's not meant to do. So
I love that. I love it. And I was going to say I failed calculus, but I did count your steps. 8 steps to be able to do that. And if you have a 3-minute print time, maybe it's a little less, maybe it's 2 minutes, you're printing white on a dark poly. Could you even do 10 in an hour? I don't think you could.
No, I don't think so. It would be very difficult unless you had them laying all around the room, waiting in line to be cured. And a conveyor dryer, you could slow it way down and make it work probably. But again, you're going to have to slow it down so much that you're going to lose a lot of production time. That dryer is going to limit how many pieces you can get done.
Hey, Roy, I don't know if our guests can see this or not, but can you talk while that's printing so that the camera will switch back over? My recording is based on who's talking.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, basically what I'm doing is printing a hoodie. This one was pre-treated a little bit more than normal, or what you would put on a shirt. And I'm printing it on level 6, which would be typical to most sweatshirts. Whether they all come out the same, that's another issue. The more porous the fabric, then the more ink you're going to have to put on that sweatshirt. But this
Awesome.
one is going to print more than exceptional at level 6, but actually on level 3, just the basic default, even with the same amount of pre-treat as a t-shirt, I was able to get a sellable print.
Oh, cool. Well, I can't
Uh,
wait to see that in a minute. So I just wanted folks to be able to see what was going on for there and give them a sneak peek. Terry, let's go back to the index for just a second so that we can.
Hey, Jay, let me jump in real quick. Hey, Roy,
Yep.
One of our listeners asked, what number did you set the pre-treat machine at for that hoodie?
on that one, the first side was at 5. And
Because
the
we're doing a
second-
test.
the
Because we're doing a
second
test.
side, this side right now, was at 6 1/4.
And what would you recommend to our listeners?
Well, it depends on the hoodie. On ours, these are the Just Hoods. They don't require as much pre-treat as some of the other ones out there. And it's dependent it's dependent as well as the fabric and how receptive to water it is. If it's not absorbing the pre-treat well, you may have to pre-treat it twice, or it may not perform at all without too much pre-treat on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you could go too far and have too much. And then, of course, as Terry is often teaching us and reminding us, you could have way too little. And then again, you're missing, you're not in the sweet spot. You're not in the zone. You missed it.
And that sweatshirt that Roy is referencing is it's a blended fabric, but the outer facing is 100% cotton. Again, more and more substrates out there are made specifically for direct-to-garment printing because of the rocketing upward of the use of direct-to-garment in our industry. You know, all these manufacturers are making garments just for DTG.
So Terry, why don't we keep going and are we kind of, maybe we don't need to spend quite as much time on the poly story with 50-50 blends and some tri blends, but is it kind of the same story, or are there some differences and some nuances we should be aware of?
Yeah, it's a similar story, but with 50% cotton, 50% polyester. You know, you're the 50-50 tee that the elementary school asked for, because, hey, you throw a 50-50 t-shirt in the washer, it's going to come out, it's not going to shrink, and it's not going to be wrinkled. That's that shirt that moms and dads like, because they could just throw it in the drawer and the kid can put it on and wear it to school and wash it again, and they wear it to school again tomorrow because it's that, you know, it's their favorite shirt. But printing wise, for us, there is cotton in it, so the ink will bond to that cotton. You're probably going to have to tinker a little bit with your settings. Also, probably to get the absolute best print, you're going to probably double pre-treat that shirt. You'll pre-treat it with less than you would normally pre-treat, dry it, and then pre-treat it again. And that's going to give you, again, a saleable print. Is it going to be as bright as the perfect cotton t-shirt? It's not. Is it going to be acceptable to your customer? Because when they look at it, they're going to say that's a really cool print. Yeah, it's going to be acceptable.
You know, we've got some really, really smart customers who know that, and they play to the strengths of the machine, like you said. They recognize that they may not get the vibrancy or the opacity or the brightness on a 50-50 or even a tri-blend or other blends. So they'll create their graphics in such a way that they purposely look a little bit more vintage, or they look like they are not supposed to be that old school, traditional, super thick, opaque plastisol screen print. So, you know, I got to remember that you, as you're a business owner, you're looking at all of these factors. And I think it's really important to our listeners that they recognize that knowledge is power here, and that you have the opportunity to train your customers as to what is going to be best under each category. That's both true for the apparel that you're printing on, as well as the graphics. And then you're working backwards from those two things. And thank goodness we have somebody like Roy and our other technicians who are constantly printing and tinkering and tweaking and playing with pre-treat and playing with the graphic and playing with different substrates, so that we can give our audience and our customers the best information that we have. Are we perfect? Do we have all the answers? Man, I wish. The truth is no. You obviously know that because it was an act of Congress to get to this webinar this morning. However, we're prepared and excited to share some really great stuff with you in a minute. And I was so thrilled that we were able to print this hoodie, and I hope that it works. I'm not going to show it to you yet, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep all of the settings exactly the same, no matter what we printed on. So we have 8 shirts that we printed on, Terry, and they cover the spectrum of quality and price, but we didn't change anything in terms of pre-treatment, in terms of the settings in Garment Creator, in terms of the graphic itself, the curing times. Everything was exactly the same. And then Roy had this killer idea. Why don't we do that on a hoodie without trying to compensate? Like, take the typical t-shirt settings and then print what we would print, but put the hoodie on to show people, because this comes up in training and on tech support all the time. And then on the other side of the hoodie, we'll show what we did to compensate. So anyway, I'm probably letting the cat out of the bag a little bit, but I'm looking
That's
at
a little
the time.
teaser going there.
I know, a little teaser, man. It's like old school communication 101. Keep them hooked, keep them interested.
Well,
So,
Jay, let me say one more thing about 50/50, and it's not specifically about 50/50, but it's about garments in general. A lot of folks will say, but my customers all insist on a 50/50 garment, or my customers all insist on a Gildan, or my customers. That's not your customer. That is you assuming your customer wants that, and you trying to fit that square peg into a round hole. It comes down to selling. It comes down to you saying to the customer, you know what, I can do a 50/50. And by the way, here's a sample of a 50/50. Or I could do 100% ring spun cotton, and here's what it's going to look like. But your choice,
yep.
your choice.
Yeah,
Guess what they're
exactly.
going to choose? They're going to
The
choose
better
the better
print.
print.
Yeah,
Exactly
every
right.
time. And I hope everyone listening recognizes what Terry just said, because both Terry and I have walked the walk. We have been you. We were you. We've owned our own businesses. We have worked for several decorators. We have dealt with customers on apparel decoration, from everything from embroidery to rhinestones to vinyl to screen printing to all kinds of embellishments. And here's the truth. You educate your customer. And yes, they may say, no, 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 I want Gildan. Okay, I don't know why they're in love with that brand, or Hanes, or Anvil, or Fruit of the Loom, or whoever, right? Doesn't matter. But we show them, we educate them. And I got to give credit to whoever just said that. I've used over 1,000 shirts perfecting the settings to get a great print. Now that's
awesome.
that's what we're talking about. I don't know that you need to do 1,000, so I give you extra credit. But I do know that that's someone who's dedicated to the craft, who wants to have the answers, and who's prepared with their client base, so that whether it's a poly, 50/50, 60/40, tri-blend, 100% cotton, open-ended carded, or 100% cotton ring spun and combed, they can show that. And that's what we wanted to kind of get to today, is to give you that progression.
And by the way, Roy, Francis asked, do you get any staining with that 6 1/4 setting that you mentioned?
Not on this specific hoodie.
Okay.
Yeah, so that could be a factor to the brand of the hoodie too. Yeah, good point.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're going to do next, Terry, is I'm going to go back to the slideshow here for just a second, because we've got a great graphic courtesy of our friends at Bella Canvas. And this really illustrates the difference between a cotton shirt, just a standard 100% cotton, and 100% combed and ring spun cotton. Why don't you walk us through this, Terry?
Okay, we've skipped one. We've skipped tri-blends and 60/40s. But while that slide's up there, let me just talk real quick about tri-blends.
My bad. I was so excited. I was so jacked up to share the slide. I skipped
You
it.
can leave that slide up there, though. That's a great slide.
Okay.
But tri-blends, tri-blends print really well because of the amount of rayon in them. And so, but you've got to do some testing. But, you know, when we send samples out, we send a 100% cotton shirt, we send a tri-blend out. But not all tri-blends print equally, so you've got to do some testing. Just like the comment here that says, I've tested every shirt available. That's what you have to do. You have to do some homework here. Same with 60/40s. 60/40s print a little better than 50/50s because they're 60% cotton. You know, again, I have customers who say, all I print are tri-blends, and my customers love them. So, and they
Terry,
wash well.
I just remembered why I skipped slides. It's because I couldn't find a 60/40.
Oh,
I looked around. They're not as popular anymore. They do
no.
exist, but sorry, I just was like, oh, now I remember why I went too fast. So.
Well, and it's more likely that you're going to find hoodies or crew neck sweatshirts that are more in that 80-20. You're going to jump from 50-50 up to an 80-20 or a 90-10. An 80-20, 80% cotton, 20% poly is going to print really well. So even, I mean, 100% cotton facing on that hoodie is going to print even better, but more than an acceptable print on an 80-20 or a 90-10. So
Love that.
hey, guess what? They cost a little more, right? When somebody calls me up and says, so I'm trying to print this red sweatshirt and my print just isn't bright like the t-shirts. What do you think it is? You think it's a pre-treat? You think it's, not enough underbase? Well, what kind of shirt in it? What's the fabric? It's well, Sanmar was having a sale. Well, you don't want to tell me because you know what I'm going to say. Sanmar's having a sale means it's a 50-50. You're going to have to do some tweaking. It's never going to be as bright as that 80-20, that 90-10, or that 100% facing piece of fleece.
And you know what? I've been a business owner, Terry, and I'm gonna call myself out. I'm pointing the finger at me, everybody, so nobody blast me. I've been here. I've been in this space where I thought I'm gonna save a couple bucks by getting those 50/50s, and I'm gonna put that profit in my pocket. That's also the reason. Plus, they were on sale. Yeah, cha-ching. Well, guess what? Guess what I did? I just shot myself in the foot, and I'm dragging it around the office because my production times just went whoa, and I'm losing more money trying to fix the problem that I created. And so
Exactly.
I'm challenging you business owners to think through that process. You'll probably be happier, have less stress, get better prints, and in the long run, you could be saving money because your production dimes are going through the system and your yields are higher. So, Terry, you know more about that than I do, but that's just something that stares back at me. Maybe it's my, I finally crossed 50, and I'm starting to clue in that, oh, yeah, there's a couple of ways to look at this.
Well, I think it's also that mindset of the commodity screen printer, that screen printer who says, I can save you a quarter on this order. And I think that mindset, they try to translate that to and don't be that person, by the way, but it also translates to DTG thinking, well, I've got to be the commodity person. I've got to sell it for less. We're doing custom graphics. We're doing it right now today. We're doing one. If you want one, a customer will pay a premium for that. So don't sell them an inferior product. Pay $2 more for that sweatshirt and charge $40 for it. Customer will pay it. So, but they'll pay for that convenience. They'll pay for that the customization. They'll pay for that quick turnaround.
They will indeed. I agree. I love what you just said. And so I brought you back to this because the graphic is so visual. When you see that top left quadrant of the cotton yarn that's under a microscope, obviously this is zoomed in way more than my camera could do. So that's why I was grateful to be able to borrow this slide from our friends at Bella Canvas. But look at that. It's like, as soon as I saw it, my skin started to get itchy. I was like, oh.
Well, Jay, what people, we talk to people at trade shows or on the phone or through our webinars. We talk to people through our articles and blogs, and we talk about 100% cotton, and then they stop listening. Okay, DTG, 100% cotton. Got it. 100% cotton, not all 100% cotton is created equal. We mentioned here, we have a good friend who is a DTG decorator down in Jackson, Mississippi. And he's one of those old time screen printers who says, by gosh, I like Gildan. I am going to print on Gildan. I'm not going to print on anything but Gildan. And you know what? He gets really great prints. But that shirt he's printing on looks like the carded open end cotton you see right there. Very rough texture. You see that in the print. So how does he do it? He pre-treats, he dries it. He pre-treats, he dries it. Then he goes in and he tweaks his settings on his printer till he gets the print just the way he wants it. If you go to 100% ring spun cotton on the right, then you're going to be able to pre-treat just, like normal one time. You're
And
going to be
use
able
less
to
pre-treatment.
use less pre-treatment, exactly right, and be able to go in, just use the standard settings on your software. You don't have to go in and tweak anything. Standard settings, hit the print button, and
Which means
you're
you're
going to
using
get
less ink, Terry. Just thought I'd throw that in.
less ink, less pre-treat. And Jay, I want to add something, because a lot of folks think, oh, it's ring spun. That's the secret. It's not really the secret. I interviewed on my podcast the one of the marketing folks from Fruit of the Loom, and she clued me in on what it really means.
She
The,
schooled us. She
she
gave us the
schooled us, man.
lowdown. What's the story?
And she said the real secret is that ring spun cotton is made with thinner threads than regular carded cotton. And by using thinner threads, you get this tighter weave that you see and that you saw in that slide. Tighter weave means a smoother surface. That means that we are going to get that really crisp print. One of the things, the difference when we say in screen printing, we can make it work. Well, that's also because screen printing is using, 45, 55 line dots, or even bigger, and using blocks of color. And so it's easier to hide that fabric underneath. With direct-to-garment printing will give us photographic reproduction. If you go back last or 2 weeks ago to our graphics and get a really great graphic, and then you pre-treat that shirt properly, and you've got that great garment, you're going to see super fine detail, photographic detail on that fabric. But to get that, I mean, look at when you look at the slide, that carded cotton, if you're putting fine detail, you're going to lose it in that jumble of threads sticking here and there. So
Yeah, and those little hairs sticking out. And it's interesting.
exactly.
I don't want to go down too far into this because we can go out to the weeds in a hurry. But you see things online like, well, what I do is I use a paintbrush and I paint the pre-treatment on to get all of the fibers going in the same direction. That's how I get my bright prints. And I'm like, part of me is like, good for you. That's a DIY, do it yourself, fix the problem. You saw the problem, you came up with a solution, and it works for you. But again, is it the best solution? So
Right.
it is a solution, but is it the best solution? And so we're of the opinion that we're always trying to find the best alignment and the best print that gives you also the best operational speed. So we have to keep one eye on production, don't we?
We do indeed, and then that's how we make money, is by turning pieces. And as profitable as direct to garment is, if you could print 5 more garments an hour, are you making another $75 in that hour? You could, by just printing 5 more garments, and by using the right tools. And in this instance, the right tool is the right garment to print on.
Love that. Okay, so now that we've covered that, here's where we want to go. I want to introduce something that I hope is not controversial. I don't intend it to be controversial. It should not be controversial because it is what it is. I happen to still have an account with Sanmar, Terry. And so a few days ago, I went through and I was teasing everybody in Facebook and on Instagram on our channels. And I lined up all of the shirts. I think I have a total of 8 different shirts, all 100% cotton. Some are open-ended or carded. Some are kind of, so think of it this way. It's kind of good, better, best, in terms of both price point and then that fine, tight weave and that combed cotton that you were talking about. The other interesting thing was every single one of them was a different shade of black. So why would that matter, Terry?
Well,
how could that impact my world?
Well, with your final customer, obviously, they're the ones who are going to, unless, hey, everybody ordered an extra large, sweet. But if it's a variety of, you're doing the family reunion, then people will see the difference in shading, if that's what you're referring to, Jay.
Yes. So the dye lot of every single brand was completely different. And every single black t-shirt was a different shade of black. So the first thing that came to my mind as both an old school screen printer and now a new school DTG on-demand printer is that that's going to absolutely impact my graphic, even just a little bit. So a very particular high-end discerning buyer might have an issue with that. And so I'd rather be aware of these issues and be preventative and have options up front than to try to scramble and fix the scenarios after the fact when they say, well, this shirt isn't the same color black as my last black t-shirt.
Well, and Jay, I think part of that too is that's just a lesson to us to try not to mix brands within a print run. And a little bit higher dollar garment, you're going to see more consistency through a single brand as well on color.
100%. So you brought up the dollar value. So let's go to that now. This is relative to the day and it is relative to my account. And some of these shirts were on sale and other shirts were not. You may have higher buying volume power than I do. This is just your basic. I probably spend less than $500 a year with Sanmar. So I have no standing with my Sanmar account at all. I'm not getting any special treatment, trust me. In fact, I have set this up in my daughter's name so that there's no way that they would know Jay's ordering shirt. Let's do Jay a solid and B is, So I'm just listing these down. These are the shirts that we've printed. Hanes, 2 different kinds of the Gildan. We got one that's a soft style, which was actually amazing. The Anvil, really good. Bella Canvas, Cotton Heritage, Next Level, District Threads, and another District Threads that was the Re-Tee. Now, the reason that the Re-Tee is more expensive, it's 100% recycled cotton. It has not yet been dyed. They're able to take what would have gone into the landfill, completely recycle it, completely bleach it, and then turn it into t-shirts. So there's a lot more handling. There's a lot more expense involved. That's why it's a more expensive t-shirt. But I have clients that consistently ask, I want an environmentally friendly, sustainable product. And if they knew that this shirt was literally taken out of the landfill, there are going to be a lot of people, just like when we talk about the All Made t-shirts having 6 water bottles recycled in them, that tri-blend, you're doing good to the planet. You're doing good to the planet and people are paying attention to that. So I don't want anyone to freak out about these prices. Yours could be better. Yours could be worse. It is what it is. Terry, any comment on that when you see this little grid?
Yeah, when you talk about the higher end on the sustainability, it's easy for me to say. That person, that's their story that they tell. Our whole operation is about sustainability, and their customer is going to be interested in that, willing to pay a little bit more to help the planet. Everybody's got to be out there telling their story, and that story is important to a lot of people. Looking at that list though, going from a $1.85 t-shirt to a $3.25 t-shirt, well, we're talking about a $1.40. I get that, but the average selling price for a DTG printed garment is going to be about $20. Well, if I've got $2 in ink and I've got $3.25 in a shirt, $3.22 in a shirt, I've got 25 cents in pre-treat. I'm still making $14 as opposed to $15.40. You know what?
Right.
I'm okay with that, because I'm also going to get more production out of a better quality shirt. My customer is going to be happier with my better quality shirt. I'm all about, Jay, being on the high end of things. I was never the cheapest screen printer in town, but when I was in a small town in Ohio, when I opened my screen printing business, I was gobbling up the business. And you know why? I wasn't the cheapest guy, but I delivered on time and I delivered a quality product. On time, quality product. That's the secret to success, by the way, for everybody listening. Deliver on time, deliver a quality product. You will get all the business, because most of your competitors don't deliver on time and they don't deliver a quality product. So that's the secret sauce to success. Jay, let me address a couple of things here too.
Yep.
Somebody asked if a BPT was a carded cotton. It is not, as far as I know. I don't think it is. It's a great shirt. A lot of people love to wear them. When I was a screen printer, when I was a screen printer, I would show people a carded cotton print and a BPT print. after washing. And I said, this is an awesome shirt, and I know that's why you want it. I just want it you to see what's going to happen in the wash. This isn't because the ink faded. This is because there's fibers of the shirt stood up, and now it looks like it's a little more faded than this shirt. I just want you to be aware, but the BVT is still an awesome shirt. So as long as you understand what the result's going to be, and we should all be doing that.
You just nailed it. I got to say, Terry, you just nailed it. You're going to have to adjust your secret sauce. The secret to success was also what you just said. It's that expectation. So yes, we got to deliver on time. Yes, we got to deliver a quality product, but we also have to set those expectations, because that's going to be a significant opportunity for us to avoid the challenge of misprints, of the client saying, well, I didn't really like them, or I washed it twice and then blah, And it's funny that we hear it from the other side. We hear our customers say, yeah, I just don't think DTG is going to be around long. I mean, have you seen the quality? And I'm like,
I'm wearing it.
Quality. As a matter of fact, I have seen the quality. So, and so that's part of why we do these training webinars, is to make sure that we're trying to help everyone. Even if you're not our client, we know that there are people tuned in today that did not purchase from us. That's okay. We missed you. We wish we would have found you sooner, but we still love you. We still respect you. And we want to try to help. The rising tide raises all ships. And so that's what we're trying to deliver here today. And so hopefully we're doing that. And I'm excited to kind of share what's next, Terry, which were some of the examples that we printed. So let me see if I can share my screen here again without losing my slides, so that we can say, okay, wow, what's going on here? So as you see, Terry, this is the Hanes Comfort Soft, okay? And so I've got kind of a not a close up, but I didn't want to get too zoomed in and be blurry, and I wanted people to be able to see. Again, same settings, same graphic, same pre-treat settings, same garment creator settings, same curing, same temperature, same pressure, same printer. Everything is exactly the same with the shirts I'm about to show you. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all 8, but I'm going to go through kind of the good, better, best. And then I'm going to show you the buffet table of all of them. And then I'm going to share with you the best and the worst, in my opinion. So you can differ with that opinion. You can say, nah, I don't like these guys from Arizona. What do they know? That's fine. That's fine. But in my opinion,
Jay's kind of a t-shirt snob.
Yeah, I am a little bit of a t-shirt snob. It's true. Roy, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to recap and go back on what Terry said on double pre-treating a guild. And a lot of the times you're doing that because the shirts are inconsistent and some of them don't take pre-treat very well. So people just automatically double pre-treat them all so they're consistent. But if you take that cost, the extra tweaking and the cost there, you're right up about $320 per shirt already.
Good point.
So,
yeah, I hear you.
If you start out with a better quality shirt, you got less headache at the end of the day and more consistency.
I wish one of these days I'm going to record your conversations when you're not in training and you're answering questions on Facebook and through our tech ticket system on our, by the way, go to our website and you can go up to technical support and start a tech ticket. I hear Roy, I'm going to guess 1 in 4, 1 in 5 conversations is typically about an inferior substrate product. And then people are trying to compensate for that. They're not getting the results they want. And Roy's coaching them through it. And then he says, listen, I'm not telling you how to run your business, but I do want to tell you that you could avoid this drama by leveling up into a better substrate. That's why we do it. And I've been super honest and authentic and clear with my good friend Ken White at Cotton Heritage. I said, Ken, if we found a better shirt, we would be printing on that, and we would be telling everybody that that's our favorite shirt. But until that day happens, guess what, kids? We've got more shirts to show you.
And Jay, let me just add that back when we did trade shows in the Wayback Machine, if you walked around, every single print, nearly every single DTG printer, no matter what the brand, they're probably printing on a Cotton Heritage shirt. And why? Because that's the absolute best possible print you can get. So that's one reason that your shirts may not look like the trade show shirts, is because the trade show shirts are almost always Cotton Heritage.
Yeah, it's true. So again, to recap, this is the Hanes Comfort Soft. This was one of the least expensive shirts, and no surprise here, it also, in our estimation, was on the lower end of the scale in terms of vibrancy, opacity, brightness, detail. It just didn't it wasn't a home run. Let's put it to you that way. On the scale, this was not a 50. This was probably somewhere between 35 and 40. Would clients buy this? Probably. If they never saw anything better, they'd most likely still be happy with it. So just wanted to give you kind of, that's the lower end of the scale is what you're looking at right here, Terry. And I'm not sure if you have any surprises there or if any commentary, but
well, I think one thing you said, Jay, was that your customer may not know the difference. If the customer only sees this, they're probably going to be happy with it. Now, if you have a competitor with a DTG printer who prints on a better quality shirt and prints the same image, you're going to be like, holy cow, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're better at this than that guy down the street.
And don't think for a second that that hasn't crossed our mind when we're dealing with competitors of other machines. When we're putting out samples, that's one of the reasons that we're always in pursuit of the best possible sample. So that if you were comparing to a different DTG machine to the Epson F2100, you could say, okay, there's a difference here. What is the difference? Well, what if the difference was the shirt? What if the difference was the graphic? What if the difference was the operator and then you chose the wrong printer? You know,
right.
So it's really important to get all these details down. I hope everybody watching today can understand that. Let's slide up the scale a little bit. This is that District Re-T. It was the most expensive shirt. So I've gone from the least expensive to the most expensive. It did print a little bit better. It was still on the lower end of the scale in my mind. Especially when you start to see, as we will go, you'll see a few other examples. But so if you have, just because it's a $5 t-shirt, Terry, does not necessarily mean it's going to print the best.
Exactly right. And I guess that brings us back to exactly what you did. Test shirts, but order some shirts in, and you have to invest in your business. And part of that investment is printing test shirts and just get them in the size of your kids or grandkids. And we're this outside to play. You know?
There you go. And print on the inside and on the outside and on the front and on the back. Practice, practice, practice. And then once you're done printing them all, don't throw them away. Use them for shop rags. So then you're really doing your part. Okay, the next one I want to show is the Bella Canvas, a really popular shirt. It's definitely in the mid-range. Bless you, Roy. We went up the ladder in terms of quality. It's a little more expensive. A lot of our clients love printing on this shirt. I think you can start to see the brightness. I think you can start to see more detail. I'm starting to see more highlight white that's showing. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a tighter weave, so that white ink isn't lost. Really interesting. Any comments there, Roy or Terry?
I do know that this is a very popular shirt with customers out there, and you know, I'd feel good about this print, to be honest. And for the customer that is in love with this shirt, you know, when somebody's in love with the gilt end shirt, then I'm trying to discourage them a little bit. When somebody's in love with this shirt, Bella Canvas shirt, I'm going to say, yeah, we can print that and get a saleable product. I would feel comfortable selling this shirt.
I would too. And I got to tell you, just based on this test alone, based on my experience, I got to say this surprised me, because I think we found 3 or even possibly 4 shirts that printed better than this one. And I was surprised by that. Now, again, variables being what they are, all of the variables were exactly the same. It's still a great shirt. People love this shirt. They love the way it feels. They love the way it fits. And those are important factors. We have to also maintain that variable when we're selling and as we're trying to build our business. So that right there, folks, is the Bella Canvas.
I have one more thing to interject. On the Bella, because of that soft feel, it has a lot of fine fibers on the surface layer. And I generally add a little bit more pre-treat. Again, we printed everything side by side the same. I would go 5 1/4 on our speed treater, and that's enough to hold those fibers down versus not
versus a
having
lower
that
setting.
happen. Because if you look at the shirt with a magnifying glass with the white base, it looks like rabbit fur when it's laying down that ink. So definitely having a little bit more pre-treat is going to hold those fibers down better.
Yeah, one of the areas to focus on is that highlight white in the helmets. I'm going to go back just so that you can see it again. So you're going to see differences as I go forward and as I go back, just so that you can kind of see the richness of the yellow, the deepness of the reds, and the highlight whites. And so each one of them is different. This again, this was the bottom of the tier. It looks so much more washed out. And as I go forward, you're going to see a brighter yellow, a deeper red, the whites pop a little bit more. And this is the Anvil shirt, by the way, which printed really well. It's also made by Gildan. I think Gildan finally bought them or rebranded them, or I can't keep track of who's who anymore. But it's the Anvil by Gildan. It printed really well. It was definitely in the better side of quality. And then I want to show you the Cotton Heritage. Look at the depth of that yellow. Terry, it blew me away, and I've been doing this with you guys for over 3 years, and I still stand by what I said. I couldn't believe that when I saw the richness of the yellow, the fine amount of detail that we were able to hold. That definitely was at the top of the list in terms of the highest amount of quality.
And just the proof of why everybody at a trade show is using that product, because when you go by and see us printing, you're like, wow, that's incredible. I can't believe I can't achieve that screen printing. And that's why, you know, it all comes back to this category. It's all about the product, all
There
about the
they all
substrate.
laid out, so you can see all of them from the least amount of vibrancy, opacity, brightness, detail to the one on the end, which was the Cotton Heritage. So you can see kind of we literally printed every single one of those shirts. We also, I have this next slide is kind of the, whoops, come on, you can do it. Stay with me. There it is. This right here represents the one on the farthest end of the scale, which was the Hanes Comfort, and the one on the farthest right side, the best print we had, which was the Cotton Heritage. And Roy, how many times does somebody say, well, it's these white fibers that seem to be showing through. What's causing that? How many times do we see that on our Facebook page?
Yeah, Facebook generally a lot, and that's generally caused by too much moisture or not enough pre-treat. So you're either not holding the fibers down to begin with, or you're not curing the shirt long enough, and some of the ink is seeping into the fabric, allowing the fibers to pop back up as well, because if it's dry, it's going to hold the fibers down, because we know pre-treat is a sticky substance, and it's like putting hairspray on your hair. If it's wet, it's not holding the hair yet. If it's dry, then it's holding your hair. I know Terry has a big issue with that, but
I'm not understanding the reference, but
I couldn't help but laugh. I was like, why did you bring up hairspray? We've got Terry on. Come on, this isn't funny.
No, I was just joking. But no, seriously though, it's a good analogy because people understand that. I mean, if you just put the hairspray on and it hasn't dried yet, you can still move your hair around, just like the fibers can still stand up. If it's completely dry and you've got them down, they're going to stay down. Because the thing that we got to keep in mind is when the ink goes down on the shirt, the ink is water-based, it's wet. So as soon as it saturates those fibers, what happens? They start even moving up higher. If they're completely dry, it's going to take some time for that to happen, and usually you've already finished the shirt by the time that happens, and the fabric itself is going to pull the moisture back into the shirt.
Hey, Roy, speaking of this, let me give you a really quick question from one of our listeners. How big a factor is the fabric weight in this equation?
Well, the fabric weight, I think, goes back to the surface of the fabric. The smoother the surface, the less pre-treat you're going to need. I use an analogy of a pancake versus a waffle. If you pour syrup on a pancake, it's going to cover the surface better than a waffle. You got to actually get it to go over each one of those ridges to get into the next area.
I love that analogy. That's so
and I can relate to that analogy. I totally understand what you're saying now. So bottom line is, it's not so much the weight of the fabric, it's the structure of the fabric.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that, because like you were saying, on these hoodies that have a nice 100% cotton base or face, if they're smooth, it's going to require less pre-treat. If the hoodie is, has a lot of pores in it, it's going to require more, which most hoodies fall into that category. They're not all of them are going to have a smooth face.
Well, Roy, let's do this. That really shows the the essence of what we wanted to bring up today in terms of showcasing the actual shirts. Remember, everybody tuned in today. Thank you. We're almost to the end of this. We're coming up on the top of the hour here. Roy, if you could, I'd love to get us into that hoodie. We wanted to show what would it look like if we took the same t-shirt settings we were just using and then show people, because some folks don't know. When you're first new, you don't know what you don't know, and they'll take the same settings that they had in Garment Creator, the same pre-treat settings, the same curing settings, and they'll go from a t-shirt to a hoodie. And we get this a lot. We want to make sure that you understand that the quality of the garment, the thickness of the garment, the opacity, and everything that's there in that garment and how it was made is going to impact the outcome. And so maybe, Roy, you could walk us through, and I'll let you do the talking so that people can see that hoodie and see the difference of what you were doing earlier.
Okay, well, just give me a second here.
Okay,
We'll see if
we've
I
got
can
all this technology.
pull this off.
Switch
Because
cameras.
in all honesty, I had a camera failure here, so we got new cameras and something happened to it. So
it's our day. We were due.
That's right. That's right.
It's like the
Give
lottery.
me a second, and I am going to switch cameras for a moment.
No problem. So,
If
Terry,
anybody who's ever been to our showroom, either in New Jersey or in Tempe, Arizona, would be amazed at all the technology and lights and cameras and things that we now have in our facilities, because of, you know, all from COVID and having to do trainings and having to do demos and things like that, all via the internet.
Well, I'm not sure if that's going to work, Roy, if you're just going to hold it up to your lap.
I'm going to switch over to a different camera. Just give me a second.
Okay. So, Terry, in terms of the chart, I'd like to go back to that and see if you have anything else to add to help wrap that up while Roy is switching gears. And I'm going to share that screen again, and maybe you could just kind of encapsulate this EZ DTG Printing Index for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Jay, and of course, like we said, we've done graphics. We today are wrapping up substrates. There are 5 categories, and hey, do you have to have a 50 to get a perfect print? You know, ideally, you're hitting all these points. You know, if you're at 48, 47, you're probably still going to get a very good print. What we really want to address is the low end. You know, where somebody's at a 20 or a 30 on this chart and saying, gosh, you know, my shirt's, you know, I don't know, I'm doing everything I can. Well, but I've got to, you know, print on this fabric, and well, nobody's customer can give you a 300 DPI file. And yes, all those things can happen. You have to set the standard. You have to say, this is what is required to make this work. Somebody sends you a photo and it's 72 DPI, and they've sent it to you, you know, from their phone. They probably have a better version. They've sent it to you at low resolution because, hey, that was easier to send. You know, one of my sons was in DTG printing for a long time, and he did an order for Riverdance. And he said, Dad, the logo, when I blow it up full size, it looks like dots. There's nothing. I said, you know what? Riverdance has the file you need. You just need to ask them. Tell them you need that 300 DPI file saved at full size. 5 minutes later, he said, they sent me a file. It's perfect. Our customers, we have to educate our customers. DTG printing is pretty new to garment decorating industry. It's only 17 years old. And so our customers don't know what we need. Therefore, they send us the easiest file they can send us. So looks like Roy's ready to go there.
Looks like Roy is set up. So because people have been asking, I'm going to share this screen one more time, which was the pricing so that you can see the style numbers and whatnot. If I can show that from the current slides. So the Cotton Heritage was the 1082. The next level was the 3600. We do like printing on that District Threads 104 jet black and that perfect weight tee. It's the District Threads perfect weight tee. We get a lot of great prints on that. Like I had said, the anvil printed very well. So it was probably in my estimation, again, my opinion, the top 3 were the next level, followed by anvil, and at the top of the scale, the Cotton Heritage. So if you're looking at any of those, that would be a direction to go. We're not trying to sell you any t-shirts here today. I get nothing from this. I just wanted to say that was my experience. So for what it's worth. So let me switch it back over to Roy.
All right. So basically, this particular hoodie is an all we do, or just hoods. This one was pre-treated at 5 on the speed treater and printed at level 3. And you can see, if I can focus in here, there's just a couple little areas it's breaking up, but it printed exceptionally well. Up here, I can kind of see just some fine lines of the fabric, not too much. But typically on a hoodie, I'm going to put a little bit more pre-treat. Now this one has 6 1/4.
Oh yeah,
and actually printed it at level 6. Okay, so definitely a lot more vibrant and better coverage on the ink. But at the bare minimum on hoodies, I typically print them at level 5 at 40% white base, or change my ink density on the white base to 40%. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is the reason why we carry hoodies is good hoodies are hard to come by that print well. And being able to print over a zipper that way with that content is very do and be consistent. It's all about and filling it over and not any stumbling blocks pop up and say, oh my God, what happened? I printed 18 perfect, and now something happened. Is usually this happens with the gild ends, and then you find out after doing a bunch of tech support and checking the printer and the speed treater, oh, look at the label on the shirt. Oh, well, this one came from Haiti. Oh, well, let's try double pre-treating that shirt. Oh, well, the results are much better. So what happens is that dye in chemical residual in the fabric is repelling the water or the pre-treat or the ink. And subsequently, when you pre-treat twice, the first time you pre-treat, it's almost like washing the shirt a little bit, because that pre-treat moisture is going to shoot through the fibers to break them down a little bit, and it gives you a better receptivity on the second pre-treat pass. Anyway,
that's a great tip. I love the example. By the way, everyone that's listening today, I'll be happy to share these on our Facebook page, so that people can see the examples again. We'll take pictures of the hoodie so that you can see the before and the after. Remember, one side of the hoodie was the exact same settings as the t-shirt. We didn't change anything. And then the other side of the hoodie was Roy had gone in and fine-tuned it and did what he would do to get the maximum best case results. Terry, were there any other questions that maybe I missed that you want to highlight?
I think that everything was addressed. The last question I saw was, do you like Cotton Heritage better than Next Level? I said Cotton Heritage is our favorite shirt to print on, and you'll see that again. Most everybody in DTG uses Cotton Heritage as their example.
There it is. Look at that.
Yeah, and Next Level, yeah, it's a good shirt, and your customer's going to like it. There's nothing better though than the Cotton Heritage shirt, because Cotton Heritage, they have structured their market to DTG printing. So they have made a shirt specifically for direct to garment.
Terry, I just wanted to make one more comment before we close this out. The reality too is that as the market changes, as we learn new informations with new techniques, we have to be adaptable. We have to be flexible. Here's a great one. We know that Ready, is it RPT? I always get it backwards.
RTP.
Ready to print. Okay. They've been out for a while. They have a great product. Their shirt prints well. It works always, right? But for me personally, I'm gonna make one comment and then turn it over to you, because you have a great story with the RTP. For me personally, I've tried 2 of their shirts, and while they printed fabulously, after I washed them 6 or 7 times, my shirt was completely shifted by about 3 inches, meaning the way that product was built structurally for me wasn't a winner. So I don't know if that was just a bad experience. I have tried it twice. The same thing happened. I hope that's not the case, but I thought before we get to the end of this, say, what else is happening? Oh, Sanmar and other major corporations are producing garments that have already been pre-treated. But what do we know happens with that, Terry? What's the
here's what happens with that. And yeah, they print great. And I think the focus has been more on getting the process to work than necessarily on the structure of the shirt. And these things, it's all going to happen. But here's the problem you're going to have. You decide, I'm not going to pre-treat shirts. I'm only going to sell RTP apparel shirts. Your very next customer is going to say, hey, I need Texas orange. And you're going to say, well, here's orange. And they're going to frown at you because they're from Texas. And Texas orange is not orange. Texas orange is kind of a rust color. And you're never going to get a pre-treated shirt from a manufacturer, not anytime soon, that's Texas orange. You're still going to have to pre-treat shirts. So unless you just tell your customers, here are the 5 colors that you can choose from. Oh, they're out of stock on this one. Here are the 4 colors you can choose from.
Yeah. So as Roy's wrapping up too, Roy's saying thank you for everyone, all those that have joined us. We know we've gone just a little bit over the hour, but we'd love for you to, please visit with us in terms of our private Facebook group. You're all welcome to join if you're not already there. Things like this come up. We have lots of great discussions. We try not to overcorrect people. We definitely aren't there to spam you and try to sell you. This is a place for you to, support each other, experiment, try things. Not everyone there is a client of Equipment Zone, and that's totally fine. And that's exactly what we want out of this. And so we're over 1,000 members now, Terry. So we have a great discussion there daily. Somebody's asking a really good question. Sometimes it's a novice or rookie question, and that's okay. Sometimes it's a really crazy, never seen before question. And that's kind of always fun too. That's when I knock on Roy and say, hey, you might want to check Facebook.
We don't let the negative trollers on there either. If you don't have something positive to say, oh, you're out.
Yeah, we pretty much yank your chain pretty quick. So it's a positive place. Good vibes. We want everybody to grow their business. Also, our YouTube channel, please check it out. That's where all of our videos go to happily be viewed by everyone in the world. We'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel. That's also where you can go back and see it's all about the graphics, the last session we did. And all of the other previous training sessions that we've done by amazing guests have joined us for DTG training academies. Some of them are technically oriented, some are marketing oriented. So please check us out there. And then if you have any questions, Terry, what should people do if they want to find us?
Well, go to equipmentzone.com. First of all, you can reach out to myself, Terry at Equipment Zone, our friend Jeff Morgenthaler, jeff.m at Equipment Zone, or amy.k at Equipment Zone. And certainly happy. You can go to our live chat on the website and ask questions as well. We are all about education, Jay. And so we want to help you out. As you said, even if you didn't buy your printer from us, we're still going to help you out.
Well, thank you. And thanks to those who've been so gracious with their compliments in the chat. And thank you to you, Terry. And thank you, Roy, for all of your help this morning. We were printing up shirts yesterday and this morning like madmen in here. We're kind of sick of the Spartans graphic, to be honest, but it printed out really well. It was such an interesting lesson for us. And we've been doing this a while and we still learn some new things together. So, Roy, thank you for all of your hard work behind the scenes. Anything to say before we go?
Yes. What is our group name on Facebook? It is Epson F2100 DTG Users Group.
Yeah, is it on my screen now? Can you see it, or are we still?
I just sent it out for
perfect.
everyone in the chat. The other thing was someone was asking if they pre-treat shirts in advance, can they keep them? So basically, yes, you can keep them. They need to be kept out of light. And I tell people keep, dirt and dust off of them because you don't want to have to disturb the fabric other than just giving them a quick pressing. We do that all the time when we go to shows. We'll just throw them in a bin and we'll have hundreds of shirts pre-treated. You just want to make sure that they are dry to the point where they're not going to mold or mildew. And, I throw them in a box lined with a trash bag to keep the light off of them. The UV light will break down the pre-treat, but if you have them stored properly, they can stay for about a year.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all. Appreciate your attendance here today, and we'll catch you on another Equipment Zone webinar soon. Everybody, we hope that you have a safe rest of the month, and that these videos can be part of your rebound plan. Terry, it's time for us to rebound. We're ready for growth, right?
We are ready. We are ready to do it. Next time, pre-treat, you want to tune in for that, because it's not just spraying pre-treat on shirts.
Absolutely. Okay, everybody, take care till then. Bye-bye.